part, whatever it might be.
Uh-huh.
And they know that if assembly isn't putting product together, we're not making money. So we want to make sure that we're not holding up, we're not stopping. And it's okay to stop a machine pick or whatever to take care of this priority. And they have that understanding that, and their empowerment that this is a priority. I don't have to get permission to do this. I need to make this happen.
Okay. Let's take that concept to the next question, because it kind of carries forward. And that is, what strategies do you use to establish accountability?
Accountability? Oh, that is accountability that has been in the popping up in my news feeds and different things that I read all the time on for the leadership side of things is accountability. How do you hold people accountable for their actions or lack of actions? Well, first of all, if somebody's creating a disappointment, like we have our internal communication skills training, and I was a professor with that for a little over 10 years with Barry-Wehmiller University, where I would facilitate that. So if I have somebody that's on the team and they're creating that disappointment, what I'll do is I'll craft some sort of an iMessage, to them and say, I'll have 2 or 3 of them in my back pocket so that I, when I confront them on the disappointment that they're making,
right.
And we just have a conversation about it. It could be, hey, we had a customer back order here and this didn't ship out yesterday. We would have that conversation, and I'd be like, oh, when the parts don't ship on time, we have field service on site, and this is really disappointing, blah blah blah, and all those types of things. Okay. And we have those types of conversations, and then I find out that they worked on some other priority, and then at that point in time, they might suggest to me that I should have asked for additional help to get that shipped out or whatever it might be. It's like with the group that I have now. A lot of the team members will hold each other accountable. Okay. They'll, not in a negative way, but in a positive way. Mm-hmm. Like, I might have a 2 people working in our shipping area, and we have somebody working in a receiving area, and they can see that shipping is buried and receiving is a little light. They might go over there and say, hey, guys, I know we need to ship this all out. What can I do to help you? Okay. They jump over there and try to help. Okay. So I think that the accountability side, like I would say that the receiving guy or team member is holding himself accountable for the shipping area's actions also, and trying to make things happen, Okay. And they just, we've really developed a really, really good team, from 5 years ago when I came down here. Oh my goodness. There were team members that were flat out screaming and shouting at each other, and we're almost ready to go to fisticuffs on because of a parts flow. And I'm like, I come down here and they're screaming and hollering at each other, and I'm like, why are you so passionate about this? Can you, what's going on here? It was, you would take the disciplinary actions as you had to, when necessary.
Right.
But, right. To try to understand that, and you try to put it into perspective for them, is that we're moving parts, we're kitting parts, we're customer service. Mm-hmm. And then over the last 5 years here, this team has really grown into a good team where they really just hold each other accountable. Okay. And they hold me accountable too. If they ask me for some information or a task to be completed that I have to do, they'll ride me on it. They'll be like, hey, did you get this done yet? Okay. And then if I say no, they'll be like, why did you not get it done? And I'll be like, well, I was kind of trying to take a vacation day, but I'll get after that for you.
Would you say that that high level of sense of accountability ties back into what you previously addressed about establishing communication and expectations?
I would say absolutely. They have a very good understanding of our vision, and then the communication side of things here. When we're at our touch meeting, all of our build projects or customer orders or whatever it is, they have all the information they need to be successful at 9 o'clock or 9:45 in the morning. And and everybody, when we leave there, we know what we're doing for the next 24 hours, and we know what we're focusing on. If something changes, obviously we communicate that right away and we say our priority has changed. This is what we need to focus on because we have a customer down or whatever it could be. A machine went down. We got to scramble to get parts out or whatever it might be. Okay. But I would say absolutely, it all ties together. There's no doubt about it.
Okay, here's another question for you. Under normal circumstances, this would be an easy one to deal with.
Yeah.
But we're going to put it in unique circumstances. And that is, how do you cultivate an open dialogue with others in addressing their feelings and concerns? Now, we know that as a servant leader, it just comes natural to you do that. So let's put it in the context where there's some pushback, say.
We've had situations where we've had projects that I wanted to work on, or like the organization has had a direction that we went in, and I'll lay the plan out there for them, tell them what the plan is, and someone might disagree with it. Okay, let me use me for instance. Like explain it from my perspective, because the behavior that I model, my team models. They pick up on that and they model that same behavior. So like I could have our site leader here in Phillips say he makes a decision on a project,
mm-hmm.
and if we're in a meeting and I might say, I might say, hey Dave, I feel that that's maybe not quite the right decision. And then I say, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see us maybe take a look at this side of the project or go in this, whatever direction, or say we need to, I would like to see us do this.
Right.
And then Dave will come back and say, no, I made my decision. This is what we're going to do. Well, being in the role, he called the play, we're going to run it. I'm not, it's just like if we're out on a football field or whatever, if you call the play, quarterback calls the play, if I disagree with it, I'm still going to run it.
Okay.
So I come back to my group, and if I pitch an initiative that we might want to do, I might have 2 or 3 team members that disagree with it because it could be just a flat out headache to deal with it, or or we might be running at high capacity right now, and it's probably not the time to do that. But I have, like I said, my expectations are high, and I want to get it completed. They'll come up and they'll voice their concerns about it, and I listen to them. Like actually practice real listening skills, and I'm not saying that they never changed my mind, because sometimes they do, because they come up with some perspective that I did not see or did not think of. And then we just put it on the back burner and say, we're going to have to revisit this. I agree with you. Thank you for bringing that up. But there's times where I'm like, nope, we're going to drive forward with this. And then, they accept that. They see that the same behavior that I model with my leaders, they say, you know what, they say, okay, then they'll say something maybe, like, I said my piece about it or whatever, and we're going to move forward. And I said, okay, I appreciate that. And I said, I respect your opinions, but I said, as an organization, we need to move forward with this initiative. We need to do it.
Okay.
And they might drag their feet a little bit or whatever and kind of grumble a little bit about it, but they generally execute the project and get it done. They make it happen.
Okay. Now in that next line, just taking that a little bit further, I know you've kind of hit on it, but let's focus on one particular aspect of it. Is how do you create an atmosphere of trust where people feel accepted even when they make mistakes and they know they will not be rejected?
Well, the thing is that I'm willing to share my mistakes with the team members. I had a leader at one time that said, if you're not making a mistake every now and then, you're not doing your job, because nobody's perfect, And he said, so I mean, if we might have a part that was mistagged or misshipped or whatever it might be to a customer and stuff like that, and as long as it's not happening all the time, it's okay for that to happen. We like as a leader, if I have a team member that's making mistake after mistake after mistake, where they're just clearly not following the process or even having the want or the care to do it correctly, then I'll coach them and do any disciplinary actions that we might need to and go down that path. We don't want to do that, of course.
Right.
But every now and then, if somebody makes a mistake, it's like, I'll raise my hand and say, hey, yeah, I did that.